All right, it's about a minute after, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We've got using HomeBoost to document energy improvements and support IECC Chapter 5, the existing part of the code book. My name is Randy Plumley. I'll be your presenter today. We also have Denny, David, and Selena on the call today. They are from HomeBoost. If you guys want to take a minute and introduce yourself.
Sure, I can go first. Hi, I'm Selena Tabacwala. I'm the CEO and co-founder of HomeBoost. Quick 2-second background. Previous life, I founded evite.com and was the president and CTO at SurveyMonkey. And so I spent a lot of time in terms of thinking about how do we build great consumer products and bring them to professionals all over. I'll hand it off to Denny.
Hi, I'm Denny Denker. I work on the science side of HomeBoost, science and energy modeling. Um, I also am one of the founders, and in my previous life, I was the chief scientist at Ticketmaster.
And my name is David Zelaya. I'm actually one of the founding account executives here at HomeBoost. Really come here from the construction background, so here to see how ways we can partner and hopefully present HomeBoost in a way where everybody can understand. Hopefully we can work together.
Guys, I know some people are hearing an echo. Sorry if that was me. I muted my mic while they were introducing themselves, so we'll try to be cautious of that. So, just a little bit of housekeeping, of course. This webinar is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel probably about 72 hours afterwards. You can find our YouTube channel, of course, by searching Spear on YouTube, or you can visit our website at eepartnership.org, and under our resources page, you'll find our YouTube channel link. Today's session is eligible for ICC CEUs. To receive credit, you must be present for at least 75% of the presentation. If you are using someone else's email address or you're in a group that's logged in under one email address, please email Kathy. Her contact info will be at the end of the presentation, and let her know who was in the room so she can be able to send surveys to each person to get credit. So speaking of that, after about 72 hours, you'll get an email, as always, from Kathy Lawrence with a brief course evaluation survey. Please complete that and return it to receive CEUs for this course. As a reminder, we are now directly reporting CEUs to ICC, so when you complete that survey, you must use the email address that's associated with your ICC account and make sure that that email is correct. There's letters, numbers, anything that's in there, make sure it's correct when you send that back. If you're using your personal email to access ICC, which some of us are, use that instead of your company or city's email address, either one, whichever one is part of your ICC account. After a short delay, you should get an ICC email stating that your CEUs have been awarded. So once you receive that, a reminder again, Spear will no longer be sending out certificates. If you need one and you need to turn it into your city, because I know there are some people that turn that into their city, let me know, let Kathy know, and she should be able to do manually for that, but that's not really how we're doing that going forward. As always, I have the chat feature open. Feel free to talk about any technical difficulties or ask any questions that you want as we go through this. And also have the Q&A feature open as well. So if you're watching us on YouTube, like this content, consider liking, sharing, subscribing to our channel. It really helps us, as people always say, with that part of it. So just real quick, before we jump into the presentation, just take a minute to who Spear is and why we're here. Spear is a regional energy efficiency organization known as a RIO. We are part of the national network of regional organizations across the country with groups like NEA and SWEEP and MEA and NEEP and SEIA. They're the other organizations that are here. We are member-based. We are a nonprofit 501c3. We have over 65 members now representing a broad cross-section of energy efficiency industries such as utilities, state agencies, local governments, builders, raters, and manufacturers. So our role is primarily education, outreach, and technical support. So what that looks like in practice basically is free training and webinars like this one, in-person training, field-based training for building officials, plan reviewers, inspectors, third parties. We support the IECC as well as ASHRAE 90.1 questions. I also can help with a test prep for IECC if you're looking to get certified. We still continue to work directly with cities and jurisdictions across Texas and Oklahoma to help them adopt and implement newer versions of the IECC and answer any questions we can about the code and the upcoming code that's happening. So if you have any questions about the energy code, whether you're a plan reviewer, building official, a third-party inspector, that's exactly why we exist, and that's why I'm here. We're happy to help as much as we can. So let's get started with this part of it. Chapter 5, the existing chapter. Some cities use part of this, some don't. It has a lot of good information. In the 2024, they've added a lot of new requirements for things that are required for remodels, rehabs, additions, alterations, things of that nature. But significant improvements is new for the IECC. That's a term that you'll see a little bit in some future slides. But basically, it's defined as any repair, reconstruction, rehabilitation, alterations, addition, or other improvement of the building structure where the cost is equal to or more than 50% of the market value of the structure before the improvement. So where the structure has sustainable damage as defined, as defined by the IBC, any repairs are considered substantial improvement regardless of the actual repair work being performed. So substantial improvement does not include the following, like improvement of a building ordered by a code official for correcting health and sanitary and safety code violations, or any alterations of a historic building where the alteration will not affect the designation as a historic building. So that's not going to be part of that substantial improvement. So Chapter 5 does not apply to every repair or remodel. It's triggered when the work changes the building's energy performance, not when it's just cosmetic or things like a like-by-like replacement. But if it's mechanicals, that's where it kicks in. But the key question here is basically, does the project alter the thermal envelope, the mechanical systems, or the lighting? If it does, Chapter 5 now is triggered and is likely to take place depending on your local jurisdiction and how they treat addition, alterations, or remodels. So common triggers in that are in the additions, major envelope work like walls, roofs, windows, HVAC replacement. Now in the 2024 require manual J and S just like it does for new construction. Anything where it's exposed the envelope during construction is where that's going to kick in. So when the project turns into substantial or big ticket improvements, Chapter 5 expectations will increase. So bottom line, of course, if the work creates an opportunity to improve efficiency, then Chapter 5 should apply. And of course, I always try to underline that with, I'm reading out of what the code book says. Always check with your local jurisdictions and look for what it is that they require when you do something like that. They're the ones that have the final say. So why does this matter? Of course, the requirements lead to lower energy consumption, improve comfort, while also reducing long-term utility costs. Very similar to the goals that you'll see that HomeBoost has in their energy assessments. So when a renovation triggers Chapter 5, the homeowners may be required to make energy updates tied to the work that's being done. So they're not random. They focus on areas that most improve the performance. That usually means building envelope like insulation, air sealing. Air sealing is a little harder to do on existing homes, but around windows and doors, it can easily be done. So especially when walls or ceilings are being opened or window or doors are being replaced, they need to meet the current performance levels of efficiency, but it's now time where you can also do some air sealing for that. Same for HVAC and duct upgrades as well are addressed when mechanical systems are being replaced and or modified and or added on to an addition. So the end result of the home is basically to be more efficient, more comfortable, and then less expensive to operate after the project is complete. So HomeBoost, and these guys will talk way more into this. This is kind of what I put together from what I read through their website. I've been in third party for over a decade. When I saw their software and what it can do, it just kind of sparked an idea of this is powerful information, powerful assessments, and powerful tools that a third party would spend hours collecting data to try to come up with a report. They've made it super simple, but it's designed to make it easier to identify energy inefficiencies in existing homes without requiring homeowners to need what we call full-blown energy experts or doing a full-blown energy audit. So what you're seeing on the screen here is basically HomeBoost mobile and web platform. They'll talk more about that in a minute, which allows users to collect data. It could be the homeowner, or it could be someone that's using this as a service tool for an addition to what third parties currently do. It's, of course, not a full replacement for full energy audit or for code inspection. Instead, it's a screening and decision support tool, especially using it for existing home space where we don't always have plans or specs or testing data that actually is available to see how the house was built in the beginning. So the platform works across multiple platforms, of course, using it for envelope conditions, mechanical systems, air leakage indicators, comfort and performance issues. The takeaway here is automation and consistency. That's what I really liked about it. So HomeBoost helps stabilize how information is collected and translates it into recommendations and usable tools. So as we go through today's discussion, keep in mind how this kind of structured assessment lines up with the intent of Chapter 5 of the 2024 IECC, identifying problems early, improving performance, avoid missing opportunities during renovation work. Very important. So it also fits in upstream from Chapter 5, helping identify the kinds of issues that Energy Code is concerned with, which we normally address at time of construction. But if it's an existing home, now's the time to start looking at it, see what we can do. Of course, their reports are going to offer recommendations, and some of this will be closely aligned with Chapter 5 and what's required if you're going to look at their assessment and then you decide, oh, well, it might be better if we remove this wall and improve the insulation there because they saw it on an IR camera or it showed up on some of the testing stuff that they went through. So it's good to do that. One of the challenges, though, with the Energy Code, especially Chapter 5 in the 2024, is that it's written for enforcement, not for homeowners. So basically, this slide here is kind of meant to bridge the gap with that. So on the left, you'll see it talks about existing. The core idea is simple. When homes are altered or remodeled, the work cannot make energy improvement worse. So that's usually what Chapter 5 is about, is don't make it worse than what it currently is, but hopefully we can make it better. For example, code talks about maintaining or improving energy performance. So what that looks like is going to be envelope continuation of insulation. That's a big theme in Chapter 5. From a homeowner standpoint, that's about finding missing insulation gaps. IR cameras are really good for that, and that's kind of what their system has in it, is to be able to see through the walls. It may be big enough to where it is going to be worth taking off the sheetrock because it was never insulated from time of construction. Finally, triggering energy upgrades are what catch a lot of homeowners off guard. So if certain work crosses a threshold, energy improvements may be required. It depends, again, on your requirement of the local jurisdiction. But if you're doing a remodel and you went and pulled a permit, or your contractor did, they're going to look to see how much is being done, and then they may ask for things to be brought up more to code by what they're doing. So bottom line is, code sets the floor. HomeBoost helps homeowners understand how to meet and often exceed that floor with confidence. So I will let you guys take it. I will stop sharing, and hopefully I didn't say anything wrong. We are happy that you guys are here and looking forward to your presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let me know when you guys can see my screen, and I'll do a quick overview of HomeBoost so everybody here can understand what we do and how we got here.
We've got you.
Okay, awesome, and appreciate Randy. That was a great overview of Chapter 5, and when an energy upgrade gets triggered during renovations. One thing we do hear constantly is from contractors and homeowners, like, is that Chapter 5 often shows up as a surprise late in the project, which could then lead to delays, change orders, and just really a frustrating experience for the homeowner. So HomeBoost really creates that documentation trail Chapter 5 assumes already exist. So a little bit about HomeBoost. As we know, we probably hear in the news, like, energy costs are rising. A lot of the infrastructure is not ready for the new technology that's, coming to be in the next few years. So home performance professionals are more important than ever to, help educate the homeowner of what they need, what type of upgrades they need to save on their energy bill, and what they can do. One thing we found out that HomeBoost really is, it's made in the industry is made from great people, but there's a lot of outdated tools. I speak to people in the field who still use, pen and paper to document everything. Things can fall through the crack when it's just pen and paper and you have like a big file cabinet. So what we help is try to digitalize that process when it comes to the home energy assessment and audit, so that way everything's documented and nothing's lost within the process. Uh, One kind of like a brief history, and of course later Selena can talk about the history of how HomeBoost got started. but really is, there's a huge problem with the time it takes to do a full audit in the home. It usually takes about 3 to 4 hours, and then depending on the level of detail of the report, it could take up to 2 to 10 hours. Obviously, that's super hard to scale if you're really working on, these admin tasks that are holding you back. The whole goal of HomeBoost is to really reduce the time in the home that a home professional is there, and also streamline that report process. So that way, the third party auditors focus on volume and can help scale his or her business, and not focus on those admin tasks that could cost them, in the long run. So what we do, we have a unified platform where you can run all your tests in HomeBoost. We are also BPI 24 compliant, and essentially to centralize everything into one place, reduce the time. Once you do a full audit, you'll actually have a button where it says submit. We actually build the report for you within a 72-hour turnaround time. We have building scientists and BPI auditors on staff that also review the report because, technology is not always perfect. We also deliver a really cool video which explains to the homeowner what exactly it means. It tries to simplify these concepts that are very, um, very probably some customers don't even know what it is. Like I know a lot of people like they don't even know how to like a house is built, right? So it just helps educate them in a way that they are able to do these upgrades that are not just being, upsold to a contractor. I come from the construction industry, and a lot of contractors don't even understand the energy compliance when it comes to that, and it comes to this industry. Diving into the tool, so like I did mention, we are BPI 24 compliant. So every test that you need to do in order to reach those requirements, you're able to do in the app. When it comes to health and safety tests, you could set up your combustion safety test, your cast testing, all the weatherization, insulation. We actually also use the FLIR camera to do a lot of thermal images where you're seeing all those gaps and leaks that are coming out, and could be affecting the comfort of the home. Now, to get a little bit into the product details, I know Randy shared a little bit of some of the slides with us, but just to dive in a little deeper. So when you log into HomeBoost, it is an app based, so it could also work on low Wi-Fi mode. So if you're in like a crawl space or an attic with low Wi-Fi, you are able to still connect to the app without any issues. This interface is super simple. I tell people like if you have Facebook, you can definitely use their app. It's super simple to use. You start a new home here. You have your interface here with all the pros, the home, the audits, the for you. So any homes that you're currently doing, or maybe you have scaled your business to where you're managing different auditors, you can see exactly what they're doing, what progress each assessment is at, and then you move them through the pipeline. Then you have it submitted, and then every report that's ready to review after we give it to you, you'll be able to review for any things that we might have missed. But hopefully we didn't miss anything on that report. Once you set up the home, you can actually do something prior, right, to the arrival. You can put in the customer email, first name, last name, email, and then the home address. So we actually take third-party data that already gives you a lot of the information available, like how many bedrooms are there, what's the square footage, what is there a basement finish, you have an attached garage. So all of these data points you're probably already collecting, whether through an app or a pen and paper, but we just help standardize the procedure within one single set of tools. Now, obviously, the big question is how to scan a home. Again, super simple. You click the green button here, start a home, then it takes you step by step to exactly what you got to do. And then one cool thing we added, of course, we have like the cast testing. You can set up the blower door. You don't need like a timer or any other tools to do that. Everything's done within the app, and really the product teams have thought like how can we centralize everything and make sure that everything's just done with one app. You can also see the thermal images. You're able to scan the appliances from the home, so that way, if there's any upgrades that need to be done, we can give you those in the pro report. And of course, if there's any like mold, any safety tests, you'll be able to highlight them, take a picture um, of all of those concerns, and essentially document those. Now, what happens after the scan? You went to the home. Hopefully, it didn't take 4 hours. It took less. Then you'll submit all the findings, all the data, and then we will create that report for you. What does that report look like? And I have a sample here. It's a super detailed report. It's always going to be co-branded with your business, but it really gives a super detailed explanation of what needs to be done, what type of work and upgrades, going back to that code compliance. This is where all of that will be available to the homeowner as well as the professional, where they could see exactly what they need to do to be compliant and to have their home more energy efficient. And like I mentioned earlier, before, um, a lot of customers don't really understand, but we do give you a video that breaks that down, as it could be a super technical for people that are not in this industry. And if I could play a little bit, 10 seconds of this video, you'll see exactly how that deliverable looks like.
Hey Steve, thanks for taking the time to complete the HomeBoost Energy Assessment. This is your cost and savings estimates. On the left-hand side, you'll see your recommendations. Right here, we provide the estimated install cost, the approximate annual savings, as well as the SIR. The SIR is the savings to investment ratio, anything that's above.
So yeah, it really just tries to simplify all of the information from the report, so that way it serves also not only as a way to educate the homeowner, but also a way, like a marketing asset that you can do, for either if you're a third party or a contractor, to help you maybe win those jobs.
And David, maybe just skip ahead just a touch in the video.
Mhm.
One of the key things about the video, you don't have to keep playing, but just maybe move, is that, yeah, perfect. This is perfect. Is that it's really pulling in images from the home for the homeowner. And this is the piece where homeowners feel extremely excited. But the other thing we're seeing is with some of our partners is that the homeowner is more likely, it increases their likelihood of going ahead and getting that work done. Because as soon as you see physically, just get to the picture with their home. Um, just, yeah, so it's literally pointing out to the customer, here is your attic hatch, here is your hole, and it's pulling in those images automatically for you, to create this video for the customer. And this is what is really powerful for both their understanding and also continuing on to do the work, and hopefully saving you the time to have to walk them through all of this and get them to understand it. Sorry for interrupting, David. I just wanted to mention that.
No, that was great points, and as well as any rebates or tax credit that's available, that's also going to be part of the report. So you're able to educate them on that, because a lot of people don't even know that's available through, the different legislation that's being passed the past few years. So really, our main focus is, for third parties or contractors to serve more homeowners, reduce the time it takes when it comes to like report production or those admin hours that are sometimes wasted. So really, we want to help, professionals scale, not just in volume, but also in their business. And, it's just a way to not sort of replace the audit, but more of like enhance the experience both for the auditor, but also for the homeowner. And that's it.
Yeah, I don't have any questions just yet. You guys feel free to put it in the chat and or the Q&A. I know that was short, but there's a lot more information to that. I mean, these guys will attest to the fact that it's simplified, and this is what I like about it is, and there are people, I looked at the participants that are here, there are people that are currently in this webinar that's been in this for decades for as a third-party energy verifier, but have always been asked by homeowners, can you do an energy audit? And the first thing is it's kind of just you just kind of hear the air run out of there because it's like, well, that's going to spend half a day doing that. I got to sit at home and build reports, and I've got to it just, and then when you give it to them, they say, okay, when can you get started? And it's like, well, that's the homeowner's responsibility to find contractors. But it has, we try to give them as much information as we can, but we're looking at it from a different lens, and it's the lens of new construction. This, as Selena just said, I mean, looking at pictures and having an image that's infrared and a picture of what we're looking at, um, is a visual representation of that's a hole in your envelope, and that's something that needs to be addressed. So, I mean, this kind of stuff gets me excited with that part of it being automation. Just things that are easier to look at because a homeowner can easily give this report to a contractor, and they're going to know exactly what they need to do to get that fixed. So, I mean, it's fantastic stuff. And I'm sure, David, you kind of went through this a little bit, but if it wasn't clear on that, this is also, I put this together so that these guys could present it for people if they're a city that can see that weatherization can be done a little bit better, and also that third parties can now use this in their services. But HomeBoost does have a feature that homeowners can order by paying, I think, a deposit, right, David, to get the tools to do an assessment for their own house. Is that correct?
That's right. We have an offering also which allows a homeowner to do a basic assessment. So they can't do things obviously like mechanical ventilation or combustion testing. It's $99. They order the thermal camera. They do a scan. It's 30 to 45 minutes, and then they send back the thermal camera, and then we do sort of still create the video asset for them. And we do have some partners where in both Washington State and Texas who are home performance professionals. And one of the things they do is sort of within their radii, like where they feel good about going out and doing the work, they can go out and do the work. But sort of outside of that, it's like, hey, why don't you start with the DIY assessment, especially if you're providing other services like weatherization or HVAC, then allows you to sort of let that person see if it's worth you going that far out of your region. And so we do work with contractors in that manner where they'll sort of use our pro tool for for sort of their core area, and then really outside their core area, they'll promote the DIY. And we work with contractors on that as well. So yeah.
That's
And we
great. Do you
also,
have
yeah,
do you have any other features that are future looking? Maybe something that you guys are
yeah.
looking into to add?
Absolutely. And so one of the big things is that consumers, it was interesting you said where, there's this whole thing around feeling like, well, you have to tell me the contractors and one of the things we hear from consumers constantly is how do they help understand the bids that come in? And so that's really one of the big next things we're working on for the homeowner in 2026 is to let people compare bids. And so it's not always that the cheapest bid is the best bid. Like if you really need air sealing and someone is just saying, hey, we're just going to throw insulation on top, that's not necessary that the cheapest bid is the best bid. So it's really trying to let the consumer and homeowner have a better comprehension of bids. So that's one of the big things we're working on for 2026 for the homeowner. And then on the pro side, one of the biggest areas that we're working on is the ability to be able to ensure that you as a pro, if there's something that you want to add in and you want to make sure that it's coming within the report and the AI, we're just continuing to make sure that you have the ability to, as quickly as possible, whatever we can find in the short form, is being able to give that to you so that if you want to have that kitchen table conversation, you can. Because obviously that's one of the things which is like, because our report does take, because we're using AI and we have a human reviewer, it takes a little bit of time to review that. Our biggest thing we're trying to work on is make sure we're facilitating that kitchen table conversation as much as possible. So those are the two big things coming on the homeowner side as well as the pro side in 2026.
Yeah, thank
And
you,
again,
Selena.
if you guys have questions later, I mean, obviously we'll share the webinar, but feel free to reach out to any of us. We're just our first names at homeboost.com. So David, Selena, or Denny.
That was my next thing is if there's third parties on here or others that want to dive deeper into that, you guys are free to do a one-on-one with them.
100%. Yeah, and I'll just put in the chat, I'll just put David's just so everybody has it. It's just David at homeboost.com. He's probably the best point of contact. But obviously Denny and I are also available in terms of answering any questions, especially we brought Denny on to see if there are any questions on the building science side, so or the energy modeling or anything like that. Well, great.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you can also check out our website at homeBoost.com/pro. You can take a look at it and even request a demo. And then one of our salespeople will be in touch, whether that's me or the other folks are on the team. But like, tying everything together, just HomeBoost really will serve as that, that baseline to like document everything, have that proactive planning and versus like reactive compliance. And then, identify those code triggers early so that way, you can reduce those surprises for the homeowner or your client later down the road. And really just to help those third parties, scale their assessments to, ultimately help more homeowners and also, would be a little bit more profitable.
Yeah, that's great. And just a quick question and there's quite a few probably building officials and city staff that are here. Have you guys had conversations with any, you don't have to name the city, but are you having conversations with jurisdictions that this could be a tool used for funding for weatherization or
Yeah,
anything
so
like?
we're partnered with 9 different utilities, so not necessarily municipalities. So we're partnered with Central Hudson, Orange, and Rockland. I know in your area those aren't, but we are partnered, and in terms of we're doing a pilot with Dominion, South Carolina, which I do think would fall under your area. But yeah, we have 9 partnerships with utility programs. But we are more than, we're super excited to work with any sort of municipality or weatherization as well. We're just having conversations with some people as well in Ohio. So if there's any organizations you think that would be great for us to reach out to, we're super excited to have those conversations as well. Right now, we're primarily working with utilities and contractors versus cities, though. And then we're also, so I should mention, we're also gonna be starting a pilot with the Sustainable Libraries program because, and so just, yeah, so trying to work with community programs as well.
That's great. And correct me if I'm wrong, but and then those that have been in third party verification for quite some time, this might seem familiar to you, but your infrastructure is built off the Nreal engine, correct?
That's right. Denny can answer that better. Denny, you're muted. Go for it.
So for quick audit answers, like quick modeling things like what you saw in the report, that doesn't come with from the NREL engine. But if you've entered detail information like the ACH 50 measurements of the envelope, yes, we have a product that allows that data entry. We run it against the NREL engine. We would use the energy bills if those are available and do an adjustment to the model based on actuals. So we basically have all the features that are available through NREL and then also the BPI 2400 compliance.
That's great. That's what I thought. I appreciate that. Appreciate it. And Denny, I'm sorry. And what is it you do? Sorry, I forgot.
So I focus on the science side of things. So, we have our own model, again, something that's very fast, something that works with limited data because an end user customer who isn't a pro can't collect all the things that a pro can. So we try to make good assumptions. We go to historical information about like homes built in 1950 in Nebraska. What was the typical U value for the wall? So we try to integrate all of that into a simplified model so we can make initial guesses. So that's one of the areas that I focus on, but then also getting us fully compliant with BPI 2400 and getting the data into NREL is what I focus on.
That's great. Appreciate that. Thank you. And then this might be a leap, but again, third parties that are here in Texas, a lot of us are not familiar with BPI. I'm also a BPI building analyst, probably not actively current certificate, but I have been in the past. We normally deal a lot with ResNet and the stuff that they do for remodels and existing homes and worst case depressurization testing. Have you guys, I guess, been part of ResNet or are going to hopefully be part of ResNet for that?
So as far as the ResNet standards are concerned, we have not yet gotten the tool linked into that level of standard, although we're completely prepared for that. So part of the NREL compliance process um, forced us to be compliant with BPI 2400 and then all the requirements for the homes program from the federal government. In addition to that, there were 3 or 4 levels that were related to ResNet. Those were not on our radar for our most recent release, but certainly something we can add in the future.
Okay, and there's also a new one that's BSI that's out there as well that they use House Rater software, but it's a new one that's out there for compliance tool and verification. So my question kind of spins to, and if I'm jumping ahead too technical, sorry about that, but I think we talked about there's a possibility of API connection for software if someone wanted to do so for a third-party inspection tool.
So yeah, that's definitely something we're looking at, is trying to simplify the transfer of information from a tool into our software on multiple levels. So we have the ability to produce an HP XML document, and that's diving pretty deeply into the weeds, but I imagine most people are familiar with that. But the other area of it is, rather than having to transcribe information from manometer, having that information, if it's Wi-Fi capable, go straight through to the report without the transcription. We're looking at that as well.
That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you guys being on and doing this for us today.
Thank you
Just
so
keep
much.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you for all, Selena, David, Denny, nice to meet you, and thanks for being on here. Keep in mind, though, as I tie this in, Chapter 5 of the 2024 IECC is not just a bunch of text. It's the logic that helps make sure we don't make homes worse when we renovate them, remodel, additions, add-ons, anything like that. So it's about conserving energy, preventing energy leaks during changes to the home. So of course, as they were all we've talked about already, HomeBoost gives this basically to the homeowner a clearer picture of those leaks and inefficiencies before they spend all the money on cosmetics. There may be something they can do to actually do some repairs to lower energy consumption as well at that time. So join us. We've got coming up next is our webinar on continuing the 2024 breakdown. Is basically we're looking at sections R406, which is the ERI path. There's not a ton of builders that I know of that do that in Texas. However, that may be increasing in popularity due to some of the changes to the 24. Third-party energy guys will actually run the models and see what works best for a builder. But it's good to know this information, what's changed, how it's enforced from a building official standpoint, and what to look for when it comes to plan reviewers on how to actually look at things that are being modeled and does it actually meet compliance before it actually starts construction. So thanks to everybody being on here. I want to remind you guys too, if you haven't already seen some of our other webinars, we have our track summit that's coming up March 1st through March 3rd at St. Edward's University in Austin. 3 days of keynote speakers, breakout sessions, networking, focusing on energy and sustainability. Registration is open. There's a QR code on this slide. Feel free to use that, and you can do your registrations there. So feel free to join if you've got time, or if you're around Austin, you can join that as well. So thanks again to everybody for joining. Thanks for HomeBoost and the team being on here. I appreciate you guys being part of our webinar series. We love help navigating the 2024 and any other energy code that's out there with lots of questions. So today's session, of course, gives more tools and confidence for existing homes, which I like to touch on, which we haven't done too much in the past. So as we continue to support local officials, contractors, energy professionals across the regions, we invite you to stay connected with us. We are on X and also on Blue Sky. You can connect with us using our eepartnership.org. There's tools, training events, resources, a calendar that's there. Kathy's email is also at the bottom if you have any questions regarding your CEUs. We look forward to working with everybody and supporting the teams that help our industry evolve as well. So appreciate that. Before we wrap up again, of course, this is my contact information. Feel free to use it, share it. If you need help with training support, if there's any technical questions, permitting discussions, assistance around code updates and enforcement. I think the 27 is now being worked on. If you're not part of those committees and listening to what's happening, we can give you some updates on what we see that's happening. It's not necessarily written in stone, but it's headed our way. So thanks again for everybody, and I will close this out and stay on for any questions if you have any questions. Thank you.